preparing for the unthinkable, an active shooter. You can actually prepare. Hello, I'm Maria Hall Brown, and this is LA Currents. I'm joined today by Mona Curry, who's emergency manager, to tell us all about the program Run, Hide, Fight. Let's go ahead and go through the program itself, because it's amazing that there's actually something you can tangibly and practically do in a scenario that seems impossible to manage. So there's the run. What are you supposed to do? That's the first thing you're supposed to do, and what spurs you on to run?
Well, so the program has three options, and what we do is we try to help people understand what their options are to survive. So run being the best option, and the first option, and the one that you should always do if you can do, and then there's hide, and then there's fight. So the minute you hear something, you start to think something's going on. If you can run safely away from that threat, that's what you should definitely do. Being an emergency manager, I've always taught people to know their environment, know what's above you in case of an earthquake, know your exits in case of a fire. It's the same thing with the run, hide, fight. Always understand where you are. So if you're in an unfamiliar area, look for those exits. Just, have an idea of the space you're in and what you can do to protect yourself. Every situation is different, because you could be in your office, you could be at your place of worship, you could be at a school, you could be at a mall, you could be at a movie theater. So you have to kind of judge your surroundings and then figure out what the best option is going to be for you at that moment. There might be a situation where you can't run. Well, then you can hide. So when you hide, you have to do things to really make yourself unknown to the shooter. So you would turn off the lights. If you're in a room, you would lock the door. You would find a safe area, a secure space. And also when you're hiding, you should also try to grab something. It could be this cup, it could be anything. There are plenty of things on this set that you could use to defend yourself if it came to that.
You should also be thoughtful about where you hide. Heavy, solid.
Yes. Now, we teach that in our training, the difference of, say, hiding behind a curtain, which kind of, stops someone from seeing you, but it doesn't really protect you if someone's shooting at you. Mm-hmm. And the difference between hiding behind some solid piece of furniture or, behind a solid wall that might protect you a little bit more. So you definitely have to be conscious and aware of the difference between the two things.
Mm-hmm. And then the last part, fight. And that's obviously something that you hope no one has to get to that point.
So fight is the last option. It's the least desirable option. But if you have no other options, you're going to fight. So you have to commit yourself to that act, because if you're making that choice, you're at a very serious point in the whole incident. It's life or death at this point. So you've got to commit yourself to that act and be, 100% behind it. I am going to fight. I am going to survive. So at that point, you would have hopefully, looked at your surroundings and found something to use as a weapon. Sometimes you can, if there's more than one person could be a distraction, and then the second person would be the attacker.
What about people who, or have some sort of disability or something like that?
A couple years ago, we developed a great video. It's called Use Your Abilities to Survive an Active Shooter. We teach people, don't ever just give up. Use your abilities, whatever abilities you have. And also, if someone has a mobility disability, so that they're maybe in a wheelchair assisted living device, take the part out where your foot goes, mm-hmm. and use that as a weapon.
Oh,
I mean, everybody should have a chance. Mm-hmm. Don't just give up. And I encourage everyone to view that video.
Thank you for all of this information. Scary as it is, but important as well.
Thank you.
If you can't run and you can't hide, your final option is to fight. In this case, you and the people who are with you need to commit to act as aggressively as possible. Arm yourself with anything that can be used as a weapon. Individuals with disabilities or access and functional needs should remember that wheelchairs and other medical equipment can be used as a weapon or as a distraction. Other weapons could be fire extinguishers, canes, crutches, letter openers, scissors, vases, telephones, chairs, and any heavy object. Do your best to hide from the attacker, and when he enters the room, hit him with everything you have. Don't hesitate. Be aggressive. Your life could depend on it.
Welcome back. We're talking about keeping yourself safe in a very scary situation, and I'm very delighted to be joined by Commander Alan Hamilton of the LAPD. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
You know, I was talking with Mona about the Run, Hide, Fight program, but from your perspective, why is it important for people to be prepared for something like this?
Well, what we like to do on the Los Angeles Police Department is make sure that people know that although these instances are rare, you have to be prepared for them. We ask people to have a certain amount of awareness before these incidents even happen, so that if you do encounter an active shooter or an active assaulter, you've kind of thought out what you're going to do. If you have family, friends, if you're in a vulnerable situation where you're in an enclosed area, always have a plan. And really, Run, Hide, Fight is part of that pre-planning, so that if you go into a situation and you are unfortunate enough to encounter an active shooter or an active assault, you have the ability to think ahead, to plan ahead, and to get you and your loved ones to a safe environment.
So if you are in a scenario, perhaps you're in an active shooter scenario, what can you expect from the police when they arrive?
So the first thing you should expect if there's an active shooter or an active assaulter is that we're going to actively seek to encounter the suspect and neutralize the threat. So the most important thing for us when we get on scene is to find out who's injured and where the active shooter is. So we're really only concerned with those two things, because the officers that are going to follow on and come behind us are going to be initiating a rescue while the other officers encounter the suspect.
So you should wait for the police to come to you. You shouldn't go to the police in that scenario, because they might not necessarily know, who you are in that situation.
So if you're in a situation where we have someone responding
Right.
and they encounter you, if you're running from the location, you should stop and provide whatever information, whatever solid information you have, as quickly and as cogently as you can to the officers, because that information is key. That's going to be crucial going downrange trying to contact the suspects. We also want to know about any devices that may be hazardous. We want to know about any additional weapons, any additional suspects, because all of those are threats. Mm-hmm. Once that threat is mitigated, we're going to need to make sure that people that are injured are taken care of and they're removed and extracted to a safe location to start immediate care, and then probably extract them to the nearest hospital.
Can you really prepare for something that horrific?
Well, you can. I mean, so some of the principles that we discuss, have an awareness of your surroundings. That is the most important thing, is when you're out in public, have an awareness of your surroundings. Have an awareness of where your loved ones are. Where is the exit if something were to occur in here? When you go to a large, let's say a sporting venue or something like that, do you know how far you are from an exit? Do you know that once you get outside, you can get to a parking structure that's going to provide cover for you to flee, or even if you can't flee, for you to hide?
What's the worst thing someone can do in a scenario?
We live in a society where social media is king, and we see that response of, hey, I think I'm going to take a picture of this. It's Run, Hide, and Fight. It is not Run, Hide, Fight, and post this to the internet. So one of the primary things you need to do is silence your phone or turn it off, because if you've lost your opportunity to run and now you've transitioned to a scenario where you have to hide, that phone is going to give your location away.
Right.
As far as putting things on social media, trying to get pictures and all of that other stuff, your priority is you and your loved ones and your safety.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate
Absolutely.
all of this very important information, albeit I hope nobody has to use it ever, ever, ever.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this LA Currents. Stay safe.